Aloha, everyone. Thank you for the gift of your time in joining us today. In just a few moments, Governor Josh Green will sign two bills related to artificial intelligence, or AI. Facilitated questions with the media will follow promptly after remarks conclude, and the bill signing will commence shortly thereafter. And it is now my honor to introduce Governor Josh Green.
Aloha. Great to see you guys. Good to see you again. So we're going to sign two bills today. This has kind of been a week focused on protecting people's interests, making sure that they're treated in a kind way. Yesterday, we focused on individuals that were being threatened in our school system, for example. There's a different kind of protection that is necessary, and I've learned a lot from our excellent legislative leads and the community. Thank you guys all for being a part of this. It's amazing. So we're going to have just brief comments from me, and then we're going to have Senator Kehokulole and Representative Lachika come up. They've been our leaders along with the caucus. Thank you, Matoshi. Great to see you guys. Here we go. These two bills are meant to deal with the question of artificial intelligence. And this emerging field is consequential because it's going very rapidly through society. And as we all know, it can have consequences on real life. There are undoubtedly going to be some benefits of AI. In the medical field, we are hopeful that it will help us with research. We're hopeful that it will provide more access to information and care. But will it be the right information? Will it be thoughtful? Also, artificial intelligence gives people a lot of information, but will it be good information? Will it be safe information? These are the questions that have arisen, and I think that the Senate and House have really taken this up thoughtfully. They've worked with our Attorney General, and we're trying to lead the way. Just like Jared and others led the way on dark money, that was a key bill. This is also key, and I think it's really getting out ahead a little bit, which is necessary. So let's dive right in. So first, House Bill 2137. This is going to provide some safeguards, and here's what our worries have been. There are deepfakes out there. They can be extraordinarily harmful to people if someone gets caught up in that whirlwind. So what this bill does is when the application of AI could lead to harm, what we want to do is facilitate, some clarity about how people could get remedy and how we can give safeguards to people. If these deep fakes suggest someone has done something they haven't, or it exposes a young person in a way to sexual predation or humiliates them, it can be devastating. We have seen this in society over and over again, and we know that people, when put in a circumstance like that, become desperate and may even turn to self-harm. And that is just too tragic. So our legislature is really taking it up to try to get ahead of this. So let's dive in and see what this bill can do. Next slide. It will outlaw certain AI-generated synthetic media scenarios. In other words, you just have to be accountable if you're going to be in the AI world. And these generated images have to be viewed as a potential threat to people's well-being. And that's why Tia is here and has been guiding a lot of this process with us on wellness and well-being. It's important. Also, we feel, and the legislature felt, that victims should be able to bring civil action for relief if they're harmed, to get punitive damages. Now, I'm sure there will be others that try to sue and stop these kind of pieces of legislation. But let me ask you the question directly, why? If you could hurt someone, work with us, not against us. Work with us to try to prevent that kind of harm which could come to people. AI has become really sophisticated. It's harder and harder to distinguish what's authentic and what's fabricated, but we want to prevent Hawaii residents. We want to prevent them from being hurt. We want them to prevent them from being defrauded. I can only imagine what some of our seniors might think when they see something that looks absolutely like their banker or like a celebrity that they've trusted for some time or some other role model. And now they find later that it was totally fake and that they were lured in to a circumstance which should never have happened. So that's what House Bill 2137 does. And My colleagues will describe it better than I. And then on Senate Bill 3001. This is another AI bill, and it's about disclosure and safety. It discloses it forces disclosure when users are interacting with AI. It encourages breaks during extended conversations so people can assess. It provides some crisis resources. And what we are asking the prohibition to be is a prohibition from AI posing as a legitimate mental health care professional, for example. There have been stories, as we are aware, where individuals received advice, young people received advice, which was tragic from an AI-generated algorithm. And it is a very vulnerable time. I have 2 teenagers, and I can only imagine what would happen if they thought they were getting, comprehensive, competent advice from a very good psychiatrist or psychologist, and instead an algorithm set them down a path where they felt desperate and hurt themselves. So I'm just really so grateful to you, Jarrett, to you, Trish, to the whole team. I'm grateful that you took this up. These are difficult bills. The next slide tells a little more of the story. It establishes these safeguards. It starts annual reporting requirements on January 1st, 2028, as we start getting some of this information and data. And it makes these violations subject to Hawaii's Unfair or Deceptive Acts and Practices Law. And we have our AG who's been supporting the team, so she can share a little bit about that. And then this last image, not AI generated. An actual selfie of me when I was slightly fatter. So I just got to say, if people want to make me thinner with AI, that is okay. Perhaps, but nothing more, okay? Otherwise, you're going to be subject to this law. Really, we tease, but who knows? Who knows where pictures come from now without some kind of checks on this? So please, be cognizant of this new law. Hawaii is leading the way. It's leading the way on dark money. It's leading the way on AI. It's leading the way on healthcare access, as you've heard. So we're grateful to all of you. Aloha.
Mahalo, Governor. Next, I would like to introduce Senator Jarrett Keohokalole, Chair of the Senate Committee of Commerce and Consumer Protection.
Aloha, everyone. Thanks for being here today. It took 80 years for us as a society to collectively decide to make seatbelts mandatory. It took 80 years after the creation of this new and revolutionary technology, the automobile, for us to realize that there were some pretty obvious safeguards that we needed to institute across society that made sense and that would save lives. And this effort is an attempt for us to put reasonable and obvious guardrails on new revolutionary technology a little bit faster than that, so that less people, especially children, will be harmed along the way. I think these bills also reflect a desire by us in Hawaii to make sure that we're not fighting the tide. We need to embrace the future. We have to embrace the future, but we can do it reasonably, and we can make sure that profits are not put ahead of the safety of our children and our community. And so I think that's really what these bills intend to do. For me personally, when it came to AI chatbots, we had some informational briefings earlier in the year about how we had kids in Hawaii that were being impacted by these technologies. And, it's okay to create innovative technology that's going to make life better. It's not okay to profit on addicting kids to screens or driving people toward avenues where they could obviously harm themselves. So I'd like to really reach out and say mahalo to the Attorney General's office for their help putting together legislation that we think will withstand any potential challenges in this emerging area, but also will provide really meaningful protections to the community. To Tia and her team for helping us to get a lot of the research and data put together behind this, and then Rep. Lachika, Rep. Matayoshi, the rest of the House team that are over here for helping us work together to get this done. I think both bills are pieces of legislation that we should be proud of in Hawaii. They do keep us on the the cutting edge of this changing world that we're in and allow us to embrace the future in a safe and meaningful way. So thank you so much. Aloha.
He is really tall, yeah. Mahalo, Senator Ke'ohokalole. Now please welcome Representative Trish Lachika, Vice Chair of the House Committee on Education.
Hello, everyone. Governor, Attorney General Lopez, my colleagues for being here today. So we all know that artificial intelligence is changing the way that we live, the way that we work, the way that we interact every day. We've gone so far from saying like, hey, here's a problem, let's solve it, to now saying, hey, here's a problem, let's ask AI. And that's a reality that we're facing. We also know that technology doesn't have limitations, it doesn't have compassion, it doesn't know right from wrong. And that's why I'm so glad that the legislature chose to act on these two bills. The first bill, House Bill 2137, really extends protections so that deep fakes are not tolerated when it's used to cause harm, to commit fraud, or to falsely promote a product, right? Your face, your identity, your voice, that belongs to you. And when it's used against your consent, that can cause harm, that can affect your well-being. For Senate Bill 3001, that's an ongoing challenge, something that is important to me that I've worked on for the last 2 years. But what it really does is that it looks at AI companion systems, things that are designed to keep kids hooked, keep them talking to the platform, acting as if it's a companion, getting them to trust it. And it puts these like common sense guardrails, like Senator Ke'ohokalole mentioned, so that there's protections, there's parental controls, there's a reminder every single hour reminding them that it's not a human. Unfortunately, across the nation, we've seen cases where kids have turned to AI instead of a trusted adult to share their feelings in moments of distress, and it's unfortunately resulted in tragedy and tragic consequences. And I'm just glad that the legislature chose to lead instead of reacting and waiting. And I wanted to just extend mahalos first to Attorney General Lopez. When I reached out to her, even with everything that's already on her plate, she said that this is important, that we will provide the legal expertise and that we will enforce. So thank you. To our consumer protection chairs, thank you. Representative and Chair Marayoshi, for making the important decision that there will absolutely be no carve-outs or exemptions, and to be making Hawaii one of the strongest states in the nation to have a model for this type of legislation. And to Senator Ke'ohokalole, I know it's not easy to stand up to big tech, but sometimes that's what it takes. It takes leadership, not just to do, it takes leadership to be able to choose the right path and to do that. And I'm so glad that the legislature advanced these two measures. And mahalo to Governor Green for signing these important measures today. So what we're saying today is that Hawaii, we will continue to welcome innovation, but just a reminder that innovation cannot come at the expense of our health, at the expense of our children and our well-being. So mahalo.
Mahalo, Representative Lachika. We now have a question from Paul at KITV.
Governor, I know you talked about these particular bills and what they would do. How much do you worry about, because this field changes so quickly. I mean, we talk about AI companions, that's something we didn't talk about or even know about just a few years ago. So what do you worry about, or how do we safeguard our future? These bills are a good start, but what do we do for the future as this changes so quickly?
Well, I think that what we do is we are going to have to visit this every year, like we have to do with new chemicals that get produced. Each year we have to update how our Department of Health deals with them. I would look at this in a similar way. The legislature really jumped on this. Jarrett and I were talking about this just a second ago. We're amongst the first 6 or 7 states to take action. That means we're out at the cutting edge of legislation. And I think that it's very likely that the legislature will have an update bill on AI each session to add, thoughtful and appropriate guardrails, I guess I would say, as they go forward. AI is moving at lightning speed, and that's why Senator Ke'ohokalole's metaphor was so interesting. It was 80 years, as he shared, from when cars started to the time we got smart enough to know that seatbelts save lives. AI is happening so fast, it's not going to be 80 years or 8 years or even 8 months. I mean, it could be 8 weeks where some of these things happen, and we're going to have to be on top of it. So we will look, from my administration, we will look at AI as a public health consideration, and I think that that's essentially what the House and Senate did. So that's why we have the Attorney General, but also we've been looping in our harm reduction team, and we've also looped in the Department of Health. Yes.
So I think what the governor said is right on. We're going to need to be nimble and dynamic in adapting to the technology as it comes. The priority this year was making sure that where there is evidence that harms were taking place and where there's evidence that children were accessing this technology in ways that no one approved of, that we could step in immediately and take action. And so it took a lot of work to be able to adapt to that. We anticipate that there will be some sort of federal action so that you have uniform laws that address AI across the country, but we didn't want to wait when it came to kids, when it came to instances of self-harm and suicidal ideation. And there are we've already had discussions about what the next steps are going forward. We should be taking a look at the algorithms. We should be taking a look at instances where users are researching information about committing violent acts. We just wanted to make sure as a floor, we immediately took care of things that obviously needed to be addressed in Hawaii right away.
Mahalo, Governor. Some closing remarks?
I'll just close by saying that this bill is foundational for us, and every couple years we start a new discipline of legislation and area of concern, and that really, I think, is what the leaders did at the Senate and the House this year. So I'm particularly grateful. I'm glad that advocates are out there, and I hope that our university will continue to do good research on this and will help us find best practices. I hope that our legal advocates out in the community will prepare themselves to intervene. And I will also reach out to the companies themselves. And we want this to be a partnership because the safety of young people is on the line. This is happening so fast. I can't even believe the changes that have occurred in just the last 2 years in AI. So we're mindful. They've been on it. And so I'm grateful to sign this bill.
Mahalo, Governor. I would like to invite legislators and key stakeholders to join the governor at the podium for the bill signing and subsequent picture taking.
Leave me and Claude alone. All right. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Hi, thank you, guys. Okay, so first we've got House Bill 2137 relating to AI, and as you heard the great descriptions, we think there should be realistic limitations on what can be done with people's identities, and we just have to be very careful about deepfake. So great work by our leadership at the Attorney General's office, the Senate, and the House. Thank you, guys. Perfect.
Mahalo, everyone. This concludes our formal program.
Yeah. Except for this one last bill, which I'm also going to sign.
Oh, except for that.
Yes.
Kalamai.
So forgive us for our exuberance. Senate Bill 3001 relating to artificial intelligence, and this is the Artificial Intelligence Disclosure and Safety Act. Again, we will look to advanced research, national standards, and public safety in addition to health. And we'll assess how we can make sure that this helps society but doesn't harm especially young people. maybe we'll even move the podium now.
Always.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes.
Now, this concludes our formal program. Mahalo.